Hey guys, it's great to be back. I feel very refreshed. I had some time to, just chill out and get a little break from life. And I also got a chance to get some rest, which is always good when I get the chance to do sleeping. Sometimes I go off on sleeping marathons. But anyways, I don't want to get off topic. This message, I was guided to pop on here. I was called to speak about how you view money really affects how money works out in your life. You know, how it comes into your life and whether it stays or it goes. Money is actually an energy form. Money itself is not real. It's an energy form. In my simulation, money shows up as a paper bill, and it comes in different intensities, different levels. I guess what I'm trying to say, different denominations. I'm not sure if I'm using the right word. But I hope, I'm describing this in a way that you can follow. Money, you could either repel money, so that you don't have enough of it, or you just find that you have a very hard time having it come into your life. Or you can also develop a very good relationship with money. Okay, all of this comes down to is how you think about money, what your stories are about how you view money. You can view money as being evil, as being something that has caused you a lot of suffering because there hasn't been enough of it in your life. Or you just have a very negative thinking pattern when it comes to money. You automatically assume that if the topic of money, when it comes up, it's something that you just don't look forward to talking about because you haven't had good experiences with it. So as a result of that, money will stay away from you. It will be repelled from you. And you will never have enough of it in your life. Money is an energy form, so it responds to your energy. It responds to how you think about money. If you speak about money in a way that is negative, that is ill-willed, or that is evil, or in a way that is very, how do I say this? In a way that is not good, that kind of hateful, right? Because some people do hate money because they don't have enough of it. So they automatically hate anything having to do with money. And they sort of develop like a chip on their shoulder when it comes to this topic. But everything, like I told you, in this simulated experience, everything and how you speak about things or even think about things, it will be reflected back to you. Okay, so you have to be very mindful how you speak about money. I used to have issues with money very early on. Because of the way that I grew up, I guess, sharing this video is going to put me in a position where I have to share a bit of my background and, how I had to change my views about money. I grew up in a household, when I was going through different stages, my character was going through different stages in this simulated experience. And the characters that played roles of my family members, people that I was always surrounded by, or they had some sort of an influence. And back then, when I was a kid, I was a teenager, I was not anywhere near being conscious. I was completely unconscious. And I didn't even know that I was in a simulated reality. I thought this was just a real solid life, But I was surrounded by a lot of lack when it came to money. Everybody in my circle, even friends of my family members or my family members themselves, it was always like, we don't have enough money. We're low income, food stamps, welfare, all of these things that have to do with lack when it comes to money, or being low income and you can't break through that tax bracket or through that status, So I was always surrounded by a lot of talk about how money is something that is very hard to get, that we will always be considered a low-income family, and that, that life would always be difficult because we were not lucky enough to have money, to be rich people, right? Or to be what you would consider well off. So that's what I was surrounded by constantly. And as my character went through different stages of life, as I went into becoming a teenager, I noticed that even the friendships that I developed had to do with the friends being around me that were always broke, or always spoke about being broke, or their family being broke, or things like that. As I went into college, it was the same thing. My circle always seemed to follow like a certain storyline. And it was because I was, from a very early age, I was surrounded by lack when it came to money. Stories about not having enough, or being poor, stories about poverty and homeless people. These were things that I was always being surrounded by. So as I went on in life, my 20s going into my 30s, late 30s going into my 40s, I'm going to stop right there because then I'm going to tell myself, let people know just how old I am, even though age really isn't real, because I don't believe in aging. But by Earth standards, at least, the storyline of being on this planet Earth, which is what's currently being shown to me in my simulated game, I am 50, okay? And most people cannot believe that I'm 50 years old. But anyways, let's just leave it at that. Everything is the mind, okay? And I told myself very early on that I would not buy into the aging story, and this is why most people that meet me in person, they can't believe, that I'm even in my 50s. So most people think that I'm either late 20s, maybe early 30s at the most, but people just they can't grasp the idea that I'm in my 50s. But anyways, enough about that. So yeah, I noticed that I kept being surrounded by people, and even the friendships that I made too, they just happened to be with people who would always have that same money story. Oh, sorry, I can't buy that, it's too expensive. I can't go to that concert because, the concert ticket is, it costs too much, or I can't buy this suit or this clothing, this piece of clothing because it's too expensive, always going for the sales and for the deals, going for that stuff that in my simulation comes up as Black Fridays or special sale days. I grew up a lot with my family members, having that reflected back to me. Like, we can't go to the mall unless it's like a sale at a big department store, because that's when we could afford to actually buy the good stuff, the name brands and stuff. So I think you get the picture that I have always, from childhood and even being a teenager, I was surrounded by lack, talking about money in a way that was not positive, that was not fruitful or abundant. So this was constantly being reflected back to me in every way, through friendships, through talks that I would hear, in the background, through my own characters that were playing roles of family members. This was also another ongoing story. So I got into rewriting pretty much. I've done a lot of subconscious work. I've done a lot of changing my mentality and changing my story about how I see things. It's taken me, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. Okay, so don't expect it to. I don't want to start a limiting belief and say that you can't overcome your money story overnight, because for some people that could very well happen. You know what I mean? So I don't want that to be a limiting belief that this can't be changed overnight in your mind. But in my case, with my experience, it took me, many tries, a lot of time to go in there and change my story about money and how I would see money. And eventually, like with everything, it started to reflect out in my physical realm, which is the 3D that you see out here. My story started to change. So, and as a result of that, I started slowly but surely changing my circle of friendships. I went through a phase in my life where I was dropping people left and right. Okay, friendships that something inside of me was telling me, okay, this person is no longer someone that I could consider a friend, because I feel like they're keeping me stuck, like they're keeping me stagnant in this same money story. And I knew that I had to change something about myself with the way that I saw money, because otherwise I would always be telling myself, I'm broke, I don't have enough, I can't pay for this, I can't buy that, I can't own my own home, I can't do this or that. It would always be some type of a way that I would be restricted when it came to money. So I went through a period of time where I dropped a lot of my friendships, and I went what they call lone wolf for a few years, where I didn't really meet anyone that I would consider I would have enough in common to consider them to be my friend and to welcome them into my life, and consider them to be a friend for me. So I was alone for a few years, and I think my friends in high places kind of isolated me for a reason, because no matter who I met, I was just never able to develop a connection with someone, that I would say is my friend, that I would see very often and hang out with on the weekends or do things together, right? I just never was able to make a connection like that for the longest time. And then eventually, but throughout this period of time where I was alone, or at least, in the sense of not having friendships or people to hang out with, I started working on myself. I did changes. I started rewriting my story about money. A lot of this is subconscious reprogramming, where you let go of your beliefs and you really do a deep dive into yourself and you see what kinds of stories you have about stuff, right? And since money was my biggest subject that I wanted to change my life, because I didn't want to continue to live a life where I was always restricted with money, where I always felt that I would never have enough, and I wanted to enjoy my life. I wanted to do things. I wanted to be able to travel, to live in my own house, to have, even luxuries, to have a good life that is comfortable, passive, and very abundant. So I started to rewrite my stories. I did a lot of journaling, a lot of scripting for many years, in my case, because I had a lot that I had to drop from my mind, and I had to change my mind and bend it in many different ways to change that story. So fast forwarding, a few years even ahead, I just started to change my mind about money, and I noticed that I started to see changes. Things started to happen. Obviously, I'm not going to go into direct specific details because I kind of consider this a little bit sort of private to my life, so I'm not going to disclose certain things. But what I will say is that I started to manifest, large sums of money to come into my life through different ways, different outlets. And I started to become very good at this. And the more confidence that you gain in manifesting sums of money, the better it gets and the easier it gets to manifest money into your life, and that's what started to happen to me. I started to manifest large sums of money. I would just have opportunities come to me left and right. And these opportunities were always very fruitful and successful for me. I started to branch out and to open myself to many different things that I've never tried before in my life. And I started to try them out. And as a result, my friendship circle started to change. I went from having no friends at all, and I started to meet people from different walks of life. I guess the best way to put it is I started to form friendships and connections with people that were at a different status than what I was coming from. And I started to make friendships and connections, and these people came to be known as the people that I manifested, that I had no idea those were the people that I was writing about. I kept wishing and desiring, okay, I want to meet people that live a different life to me so that they can show me the ropes, so they could be a good, positive influence on me compared to the friendships that I had in the past that only kept me stuck in being poor or being in that lack mindset with money. And it didn't hit me at the very beginning that these were the people that I had manifested, all of those years back. And they came into my life. Some of them came in groups, some of them came one by one, but I started to meet different people and make different friendships. And as a result of this, these friendships opened me up to even more connections. When you're involved in a circle where you see other people who also manifest money or manifest things to happen in their life, and who live a completely different lifestyle than what I was used to, they started to become like a sort of, how do I say this? They started to influence me in a good way. They became a very good influence in my life, and I still know them even now. And through them, I made even more connections, and I made more acquaintances, and my life started to change. It started to flourish, it started to change for the better. And I found myself, traveling to places that I could only have dreamed of in the past, and seeing things and talking to people that I never thought that I would talk to, and just, being in a circle that was good for me, that made a good change in my life. So yeah, money is an energy form. You gotta change your stories about money. If you hate money because you don't have enough of it, then money is gonna be repelled by you. If you have stories about, oh, it's hard, or people who have a lot of money are evil and they're bad people and I don't like them, I hate them, then money's not gonna come to you. You have to see money as your best friend. You have to see them as money as being something that is there to support you, to give you happiness, to have you live a good life. You just have to change your thinking when it comes to money. But anyways, this message, I just wanted to put this out there and to let you know that money is not what it seems, not what it looks like. Okay, it's not like a piece of paper. It's not like a piece of fiber with a cloth mixed in that comes in different, levels. It's much more than that. Money is an energy form, okay? And you can have money come to you by changing your story about how you think about money. And I know that if I was able to do that, I know that you can do it, and everyone out there that has this same issue could do it as well. I want to take this moment though, because I've been away for a few days because I have friends from a far away land that are out here visiting LA. And they're from a far away land that I go and visit because I have recently participated in investing in property. This may not apply to everyone, everyone has their own ways of making their own money and having different, sources of income. This just happens to be one of my sources, and it works for me, and they're coming from Dubai, they're already here actually. And there is going to be something going on at the JW Marriot in LA, and there's going to be a property event, and they're acquaintances now, but I see them so often that I have a feeling that this is going to turn into yet another friendship for me, another connection. And I have worked with them, I have property out in this beautiful place that I call my heaven away, my heaven on earth is what I always call it, because it's such a beautiful place to visit. And they're here, I'm trying my best to be hospitable and to, spend time with them and just to get to know to each other and to hang out in different places out here in the city. And just to let you know, it's a JW Marriott, and I believe it's August 31st, the last day of August, and then the first day of September. And these 2 days are going to be full days, okay? It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So if you decide to come and join us, it's going to be a full day event. I already got my invite because I already knew that they were coming out, and this was actually a manifestation of mine that came true, and I wanted to share that whatever you desire can become true. And now Dubai came out to LA because I have people in my friends group that are interested in seeing if they want to invest in property in Dubai. So they were very nice enough and kind enough to come out to LA to make this happen. So, but anyways, guys, it was a thrill to come back on here and to send a positive message for you guys about money and how changing your story about it can change the way money shows up for you. Okay? Well, take care. I'm going to be out here, you know, keeping my connections and my acquaintances and friends, giving them a good time out here in Los Angeles. And if you come to the event, I'll see you. Hopefully you'll recognize me and I'll get to say hi to you. And yeah, this is a totally different realty house, Sobha, and I haven't worked with them before, but I look forward to seeing, you know, what they're about and seeing if maybe I could invest in another investment, you know, journey for myself and see how it all works out for me. But anyways, guys, I'll go ahead and go now. Wow, this was a pretty long video, but I had a lot to say. Take care, and remember, if property investment is something that you are actively participant in, the way that I have become, just know that this event's going to happen for only 2 days in LA from 10 to 7. And make sure, I already noticed that the flyer is starting to float around on YouTube. So I've already seen it. And make sure that if you want to get an invite, because this is invite only, it's not open to just the general public. Okay? So make sure if you see the flyer going around on YouTube, and if you are interested, please make sure that you click and set your information, and they will send you the invite through your email. I already received mine. So just to let you know, okay? Take care. Have a wonderful time, guys, and I'll see you very soon. All right? Bye.